Welcome back to VCT Verizon Game Changers, ladies and gents, where Cloud9 White have just booked themselves a spot in the grand finals. But now we're going to bring you guys another best of three, and this time from the lower bracket, of course, between CLG Red and Dignitas. Tanner, I'm Yingsu, of course. I'm really getting into it because I just want to see who makes it to the grand finals, guys. But how rude of me. I'm also with Tanner and Sam as well. And Tanner, this is where things are going to get tough because this is elimination. There's no second chances. They need to win here, and they also need to win again versus Moon Raccoons if they want to make it to the grand finals. But on the whole, for Dignitas, it hasn't been too rough of a journey ever since losing to Cloud9.
Yeah, they've had, again, their ability just to bounce back. Obviously, you kind of go into that, and we got to speak a little bit where it's, Cloud9, they are, quite honestly, even if you're just looking at this tournament, the best team. So they just take that one on the chin and they just go next, and they're looking forward to a rematch. Yeah, you definitely can't overlook this CLG Red team, which at first glance was really weird, right? We started off in the quarterfinals where they lose 13-1 and they win 13-2, and then they go 14-12 against Awa Awa. And so it's kind of, unknown. But I think CLG Red, Dignitas, both experienced rosters have been playing together. And I think this should be a very close matchup because when you look at the names across the board, they all have it's like incredible pop-off potential.
I am so looking forward to some of these players. So we know that only 3 players are like officially signed on CLG, which of course are Benita, Naomi, and Rise. But the 2 other players that they've had have also been pulling their weight. And the one that I really wanted to highlight, so when they played against TSM on one of the maps, and I still remember, Sue, your reaction to this, but Animal came out with a 5.0 KD. Like, what even is
on
that?
Sage. On Sage,
no less. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. So definitely a player that I'm going to be watching out for along with the others. I'm astounded by some of the statistics that I've seen over the course of this weekend. But of course, we're going to add some more stats to that after today's game. But like you said, one of them's going to have to go home. So this is kind of last chance saloon. It's going to be tooth and nail. We've seen some really powerful stuff from both of these teams. And now it just comes down to who's going to come out on top.
Well, Tana, as you mentioned briefly, when it comes to the CLG, their journey in this tournament so far, they've kind of fluctuated here and there, but they've stayed so mentally strong. And I feel like that's very, very important when you're in a tournament like this. But when it comes to elimination, when it comes to going up against a team like Dignitas, do you feel like maybe it's going to be a little bit harder for them if they do start off in a deficit to try and get back into the game?
I feel like what really comes into this one because of the experience that these teams have is the magnitude of this tournament. I think that is where, the weight starts to get heavy. And I do think we see it's all about who gets ahead. So like you said, if Dignitas start to pull away, I think, it kind of experience out the door. It starts to get a little spooky because there's a whole lot of money on the line. It's the first time something like this has been put together. So you really want to make a statement. And I think that is where we see some people crack or some of these players crack. I will say, surprising to me, CLG Red is actually favored on some of the sites across the board to win this one. And I feel like Dignitas are going to have something to say about that.
That's the thing. I think that when you're at a deficit, you will always be a little bit in your own head about it. But that doesn't mean that you can't pull it back. I mean, we saw it literally in the previous series, 10-5, and Moon Raccoons pull out an amazing streak. They weren't able to win it out, unfortunately, but these amazing runs do happen. And sometimes being a deficit does more for your mental than being in the lead because it kind of spurs you on to action. And we've heard some of the fighting words from some of these teams where they've said that they're not worried and they're looking to play against some of the other teams and looking to win this out for themselves. And we've kind of seen how teams will drop to the losers bracket and have a massive resurgence, a second win as they completely start to dominate through the lower bracket run. So both of these teams now in the lower bracket, now fighting for that spot, for that opportunity to get into the grand final. I don't think this is the moment where they retreat into themselves and they get all sad and defeated. I think this is the moment where they really, it shows their true tenacity, and we're going to see a full-out brawl on these maps.
Well, if there's anything we've learned so far in this tournament is that anything can happen. Anyone can beat anyone, except for Cloud9 Y, but anyone else outside of Cloud9 can beat anyone. Sam, I'm going to quote you here, try and get you to give us some of your stats, which I know you love. In terms of map pool between these two teams, tell me and Tanner what we should be expecting and what you feel like is going to be the strongest for both of these teams.
So what's interesting to note about Dignitas, while they have stats on Bind, they haven't played Bind at all in the main event. So you can almost see that as like a null pick. And then, of course, there's Icebox, which they've never played at all. So that's two maps that I'm thinking would potentially want to be shoved out the door. You don't necessarily have that many picks, so you're kind of relying on the enemy team to maybe favor with you unwittingly. And if we talk about the enemy team, CLG have some interesting stats themselves. 100% win rate on Haven across 4 maps, so we might see them kind of edging towards that a little bit more. It seems their worst map is Ascent though. It is a 66%, so that's not terrible, but we might see them shy away from that a little bit. Bind they've played once and they lost, so it's on a 0%. So despite the fact that Dignitas haven't played it in the main event and might want to shy away from it, the fact that they know that the only time that CLG have played it has been a loss might edge them closer to wanting to pick that map.
Well, Tanner, in terms of the map picks, what would you say is the best way to approach these things? Because we have seen teams basically whip out a map first time ever, and we've seen teams be very strategical when it comes to this and sort of basically taking off the best map off of their opponents straight away.
I think we see this is a tough one. It feels similar to the last series where you have the maps that both teams are kind of uncomfortable on, and we might see that coin flip towards that map. Sam was saying, 0% on Bind for the main series or the main stage for these teams. And if we see that one, I would imagine I guess a favorable map comes before it, right? If say CLG, right, the Haven or the Split, they try and win that early map, and then they're just okay to kind of coin flip that next one, and then to have a better way or a better chance, I guess, in map number 3. And both of these teams, not strangers when it comes to going all 3 maps at the very least. So I think we will quite possibly see just caution to the wind. Hey, you just have to coin flip it. When you don't have a whole lot of information, there's a whole lot of that happening.
Well, you guys saw the lineups there as well for the teams. We highlighted a couple players in the first best of 3, and I believe we're going to highlight 2 players again for this matchup, so you guys at home know sort of who the ones to watch are. I believe that is Benita and Rain. Sam, talk me through why these 2 stick out to you out of all of the players on both of these teams.
So for Dignitas, the reason I picked Rain, and we spoke about how we're always talking about duelists, so again, I want to just kind of hype up some of the other players as well. And Rain was someone who came up super clutch for Dignitas yesterday. Yeah. We coined the term. I say we coined it. We didn't coin it, but we started using it for Rain. When it rains, it pours, because she swings out. She'll get 3 to 4 kills in a round, and she will clutch it out for her team. She's been performing exceptionally well. And then Benita, similar vibe, to be honest, on that Sova, just getting so much value out of it. And once again, got my stats. Benita is currently 6th in the tournament with 135 kills. Now, okay, CLG have played a few more maps than some of the other teams, but that's still wild. 135 and 34 multi-kills with a 23% headshot percentage. These stats are absolutely wild. And while I have kind of compared her to Rain, who doesn't really rank up in that top 10, she's still done phenomenal work. She might not have been able to get that coveted rating that takes all sorts of interesting things into consideration, but she has that clutch factor, and that's what's really going to be important in this next map or next match.
Yeah, and playing the Omen for Rain, it seems so perfect. Omen is all about, keeping his opponents guessing, kind of keeping them scrambled, whether it be with the ultimate or the paranoia. And then you put Rain on the agent, and she just thrives so much in the chaos. We saw whether it would be 1v3s or just full 5v5 retakes, kind of just getting into the fight and finding frags or just opening things up for her team. And so it was so fun to watch that. There was never a moment where you would count Rain out. And I mean, we've seen the clutch factor that a lot of these girls have, and she absolutely has it. Now, for Benita, what's interesting to me is, you know, kind of being a well-renowned player, excuse me, and quite possibly the leader of this team here. When you start to put up those kills, it's really easy for the troops to rally behind you. And there are even instances where, you know, they really let her spread her wings, and they'll toss her on the Reyna and just do crazy Reyna things. And, you know, kind of just that, hey, Nita, just go kill it, and we're going to be right behind you. And I think that's, you know, leading by example is the best way to get it done.
She does remind me of Angel a little bit over here in Europe, where, you know, Angel is the IGL, captain, but he also has one of the highest first blood percentages on the team, because insane. Like you said, Tana, if you have sort of the general that is able to lead from the front, that is able to sort of get those important picks, it does alleviate some of the pressure from the rest of your teammates. And Sam, earlier we spoke about the map's expectations and stats. I believe we're going to have a look at the picks and bans now and see what we're working with today. And unsurprisingly, Icebox is off the table, but Sam, Bind first, followed by a Split, which is chosen by CLG, and then Haven. What do you make of that?
Well, the Bind pick is certainly interesting, and it was picked by Dignitas, so I think that they're banking on the fact that the one time that CLG played this map, they didn't win. Looking over at Split and Haven, though, so Split is one of the maps where Benita plays Reyna, and Haven is one of the maps where she plays Sova. So we're going to get to see kind of both sides to her. I'm curious to see what she's going to play on Bind, though, because again, we don't have any stats on that. It's a complete wild card. We don't know what they're going to do, and that's what really makes it exciting. We've seen teams roll out with really interesting compositions when we haven't had a chance to get any data on them. So I really want to see. I mean, I think we had like the massive defensive composition on Split 2 days ago in the first day, which really took us by surprise because it was, again, another team where we didn't have a lot of information. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the creativity from these teams and how they try and fight back, knowing that they might have a bit of a disadvantage on these maps.
And I think it's going to take creativity. I talked about the coin flip in Bind because of the lack of experience or the lack of games played, and you get it right off the rip. And I think we talked about, you know, cracking under the pressure or getting some momentum in your favor. Whoever wins Bind has so much going for them. Split, it's not far off as far as games played and percentages on Split. So the next map could really go either way. And I think you typically say, hey, right, the third map is the swing map. I think the first map here is going to be that swing map. Whoever can pick up Bind is going to have so much going into Split.
I'm really, really excited to see how these two teams will work out in this series. I can't speak now, Sam. You passed the bug on to me. You're next, Hannah. Just wait. But having said that, though, guys, you know, in the first series we had, you know, a lot of faith in Senile White, but at the same time, we knew that Moon Raccoons were going to bring it back. But in this series, I was going to ask for your predictions, but we can talk about this after, because more importantly, we are going to head into Bind now. Again, elimination match. This is going to be big. Have fun with this one, Sam and Tana.
Looking forward to this one. Thank you, Yinsu, for tossing us right into it. Guys, Bind on the horizon, and look at the comps. We might get a Sky here, Sam. There it is.
Oh, we actually are. That's super exciting. Oh, I see the symbols, the logos are incorrect. So of course, CLG on the left-hand side and Dignitas on the right-hand side. Now we spoke about how we didn't really know what to expect compositionally coming into this, and I'm really excited by the Sky because I don't know, I think that you can get a lot done with that utility, with those flashes, with those traces, so much that you can do. And then of course you have the Cypher as well for tons of information, and Cypher is a very popular hero, or agent rather, to have on Bind. And again, we've got the double duelist, and Raze is invaluable on Bind, particularly if Chobo is the one that's playing it, because she's been out of her mind. She actually used to play for Team Shiba and played in a lot of open tournaments you know, last year. So now to see her kind of absolutely dominating here in the female scene as well, you love to see it.
And that was the battle sage that you talked about, right? She just goes absolutely. I mean, no, that was actually Animal. Never mind. Either way, Chobo just has as much experience as you could possibly imagine. Like you said, coming in from those tournaments on the outside, a lot of times we see on this map, there are teams that are so heavily invested in keeping your jet ump, and it's usually Milky Way to do that. Instead, she's going to be on the Phoenix, which brings a whole lot more to the table here. And I love that pick, especially when it comes to clearing out all the wonky angles, whether it be somewhere in hookah or up towards U-Haul, you know, making sure no shower pushes are coming through. And that player we talked about, Bonita, can be flexed this time over towards that Reyna. So I'm expecting big things.
Oh, that's a shotty. And it gets value as well. Animal, the player that I kind of highlighted for half a second for that 5.0 KD yesterday, is already coming up big on the Cypher here. That first kill of the round, we know how important first bloods are. And CLG now gonna have to scramble to get onto site here, knowing that they have a player disadvantage and knowing that Animal is all the way on A site. So it's 3 versus 5 until she can get here.
And for the CLG Red, this is Dignitas, this is the best you could hope for. You already got the spike down, so you're getting credits no matter what. They find themselves in a 2v2. Chobo gonna fake that defuse, but maybe not in the best spot to do that. There's the right click, 3K for 3K. Who comes out on top? Rain, the last one standing, but Chobo right clicks her down.
And that's what I was saying. Chobo is insane. The right-click goddess with that classic, really coming up clutch for her team there. And I said, you know, Dignitas had a massive player disadvantage because they had to wait for Animal to get into position, and having already lost someone so early on in the round wasn't going to be an easy task for them. Now, CLG have put themselves in a nice little advantageous position, and I'm liking their positioning throughout the map. I also like the way that these tripwires are being set up. Oh my goodness, the Yinsu and I in English, it's just not happening. These tripwires are more for information than anything else, you know. It's not to like help with plants, it's just to see are people pushing through a specific area and to try and slow them down a little bit. We are seeing an aggressive push through B long from Bonita here, so she's going to try and catch someone out, but of course there are a couple tripwires that she may run into, but this lurk could be very powerful if she manages to get through without being found out.
And full showers control assumed here for Dignitas. They've got some weapons in their hands, so
they've got some weapons, have they?
Yeah, I mean, we're only 2 rounds in, so it's interesting that this is the first time we see a force. That's, I guess, what's the most confusing to me, or the most interesting to me, is some of these players forced up, and they kind of really just sent it here all the way. Unfortunately, that spike is going to get diffused, and you know, not a whole lot to write home about for Sholiana, and is going to lose the ghoster at the end of the round. But yeah, I guess I meant real weapons, which may have been, yeah. But either way, CLG net 2 rounds, and this is kind of the best way to start things off. I talked about how this feels like the swing map because it could really go either way, and you need that momentum, especially down here in the losers bracket. And well, they are off to a fantastic start.
And now this time they're not opting to buy up when they potentially could. At least a little bit. I mean, even Chobo is opting to. She's got the showstopper, so she's probably expecting to get an early pick and then just upgrade. We'll see how that works out for her. As CLG have good control of the map once again. The lurk didn't really work out too well, but they were still able to take early control of the map. And Bonita just undeterred from the previous round, continuing on this crazy lurk.
And, well, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? 3 kills to come on through, and because they forced in that last round, their economy in shambles. Emily's able to pick up a couple, but lower than 10 HP it's not enough to win a round there. At the very least, win a 1v4, which would have been an ace on that round. It's 4 rounds deep, and we're finally getting to see that first rifle. I am excited to have seen a force come through. It is very unfortunate it didn't go Dignitas' way because it pushes them back around, right? Last round would usually be the one we see rifles. Now we have to wait till round 4, and at that point, the economy for CLG, I mean, flourishing.
I mean, you say that their economy is flourishing, but they're not buying.
Bonus, baby.
Yeah, like just bonus everything and save up as much as you can. Become that trust fund baby. Become one with the trust fund. And so now they have tons of money if they do lose out this round, because of course it is a full rifle round for Dignitas, so they know that there's every possibility that they may lose this round out, so they want to make sure that they're going to be able to buy up come the next round. But they've got a full stack all the way over on the A side, just about a full stack, and it's a push towards B. But we do see that Animal is super far behind, and this is, I mean, it's not even a full-on lurk, but she's also making her way towards B.
And getting value out of that bonus, that's the biggest thing you could hope for, because you're expecting to quite possibly lose with those Spectres, but instead, it's the Spectres picking up 3 kills. And then now, even going into the next one, you don't have to buy up because you get the free upgrade from the rifles that are scattered across this B site. Dignitas quickly melted down to their last 2. You see Benita so far behind enemy lines. It makes nothing as safe for this squad, and the spike's on site. So you're really hoping Thea needs to stay alive long enough for Rain to lurk all the way. And unfortunately, with only 30 seconds, you don't have a whole lot of time to work with.
And Rain is shift walking her way around. So you know it's going to take her a second or two to get there. And when she gets onto site, there's already 2 eyes trained on this elbow entrance.
Not. Benita is going to get denied.
Oh no! Oh no! Don't play with her like that.
It actually starts to fall apart. The dismiss to buy enough time, quite possibly, to win the round, and Rain has to go huge for 2 kills. Now needs to find another. No time, though.
Wait.
That was so close, and it was almost a throw because Benita was going for the knife.
Dude, that was so insanely close. Holy cow. Yeah, no, that could have very easily gone badly for CLG, but they were able to completely deny the plant and Rain, the last person standing. With a split second left to go, had she gotten that kill onto Rain, she would have won Dignitas the round when it came down to the 1v1, but unfortunately for her, Rise was just really good at juking to the very last second. And so that's going to be a 4th point on the board. And Chobo now has the operator in her hands, which is devastating. She's going to be holding it down on the A site, and you've got Animal all the way alone on B to try and hold that one down. As we wait for Dignitas to decide where it is they want to go. They haven't picked up the spike just yet. They're waiting for a little bit of information before they decide which site they want to commit to.
And they get info that they're out towards Showers. Unfortunately, doesn't amount to much. Sholiana trying to get some chip damage down onto Naomi. Saw the cross, and unfortunately, that guiding light not going to find its way through the door of Showers there. So stuck in a bad spot is Naomi. And it was a full buy in the last. This one for Dignitas, it was actually kind of a labored buy. I believe they had a Bulldog coming into it. Nice little cam there. And a spot out towards mid. Obviously, those footsteps are being heard, and they know that the information from Hookah, as Sholiana looks to group up with the team. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I thought it was going to be the run it back that gets a lot of value, but instead, Animal gets taken down by Thea, hanging out on the lurk. Not going to get any value. 3 players still alive, though, for CLG, so you can still get a whole lot done. And at the end of the day, you've got the economy to back it up should you go down in this round. But with the spike planted, with 3 ultimates online, there it is. Emily queues up the showstopper, waiting to see anything. It might just fire it anyways. It could still get the kill. No, it goes too far. So Naomi just skirting away from that one. Robo operator in hand. He's out, quite possibly spotted on the swing. Emily with the Bulldog takes a bite out of 2. And it's all up to Rise in 1v5. Not a whole lot of time. Not a whole lot of HP either. A flawless round to battle back for Dignitas.
Much better round from Dignitas there. I like that they slowed down their pace. It seemed like they were trying to go a little bit too aggressive in the previous rounds, not really waiting until they had that information available to them. And I mean, they have the Cypher and the Sova. They have all the tools that they need. So this round, they slowed down a little bit, waited until they could push in. And once they had 2 kills, just off the back of CLG pushing out a little bit too aggressively, trying to find out some information of their own, because of course, all they have really is the Cypher. So they push out a little bit. We get 2 early pickoffs for Dignitas, and that's when they're able to push onto the site and take control. So I want to see that a little bit more. And now, once again, they're leaving the spike down towards the spice rack before they decide where they want to go. They're going to get a little bit of information. We got Chobo that's going to be trying to duel it out in Hookah, because I believe she still has that operator. So she's going to be holding down that site there, trying to make sure that nobody... Oh, no, she doesn't have the operator. I'm not thinking of Chobo. I'm thinking of... Ooh. What's her name? Notes.
Emily?
Emily! Yes!
Emily, okay. I wasn't too sure where you were driving that train. Yeah, no operator, actually, for Emily. Benita, instead, had swapped off. So Chobo did have an operator at one point, I think handed it over to Benita to make that play over towards A. and unfortunately gets sat down. Now with the paint shells, I mean, that's all the information you need for Sholiana to pick that one up onto Chobo. Somehow netting a wallbang in that situation. But either way, CLG down to their last two. They've got a whole lot of utility, but the economy was good. Then you lose that last round where everybody goes and you know, it starts to get a whole lot scary. You see Rise sitting on 200 credits to her name. Naomi looking to get aggressive though. Pushing out through CT is going to toss out the guiding light. And with those smokes, everybody playing inside of U-Haul, there's just no value to gain there. Rise picks up one. I think at this point, you just hope to hurt the economy the best you can. Curveball comes through. Milky Way going to swing and find the kill. And Rain to find the last. The imposter will fall. And in a 2v5, that's a tall task for anybody. Either way, Dignitas grab another round.
Early control of lamps was pivotal there, because once you have control of lamps, you just about have control of the entire A site. So that was really well played there to get that control once the spike was down, and that ensures that no one's able to push out and get that defuse. Now we're going to be seeing a little bit of a force here from CLG. They've been doing some interesting things with their economy since the beginning of this map, really. They've got a lot of ultimates that they can play with as well. We might see those Seekers come out just to give them that kind of information that they've been lacking for a while. And of course, the Empress, we've seen how powerful that ultimate can be. You just need to be wary of that Hunter's Fury, because while there isn't a lockdown... What?
The random spray through the smoke, and that is something you see at every level of play. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and you've been a complete blessing to these ladies, Sam, but that is the first time I think you cursed Benita talking about the Empress, and then she falls early in that round.
Yeah, unfortunately, usually I bless. Today,
Yeah.
the curse. Oh, man. But that being said, I mean, they're not down and out just yet. Oh, man, Chobo, this lurk. Oh, this is dirty. And no one has even realized that. No! She goes for the shots but misses, and that completely gives away her positioning. So that could be a huge detriment here.
Yeah, that quite possibly could have been anywhere between 1 and 3 kills. You get the information with that neural theft, which... I guess the information that you bought out of that is that Theo was still on the lurk, so you do have to be wary about the Cypher being, you know, slow behind the rest of the team, or quite possibly coming from A, but they knew they were teleporting. So an interesting ult to use there as the Seekers. Gonna be tossed out. They're gonna push right off the backside. 3 players gonna be able to swing Emily and take her down, but Rain continues to be stalwart in defense on this attacking side, finds another kill with the Hunter's Fury online. Joliana does just enough to push Animal into the sights of Thea to close that one out. Dignitas are starting to battle back, and the 4 in a row go completely unfazed as they picked up 3.
Reasonably expensive round there for CLG as well. And now I usually talk about how after 4 rounds, that's when the pace of the game can change drastically. And that's exactly what happened. Round 5 came around and Dignitas really started to pick it up. Now, their economy, for the most part, is really good. But you look at someone like Emily, who's sitting on 300 credits, and it's not even that big of a deal because the rest of the team, if necessary, can buy for her. CLG, on the other hand, not looking so good. They're going to be forced here to, again, have one of these save buys. They're going to be rolling out with the Bucky, a couple of sheriffs. And, well, a frenzy in the hands of Chobo can be very, very deadly, especially because you can still get those kind of wide swing run and gun frags. And she will be fantastic to do that. So I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how they manage to leverage this eco. And there's also been a slight tack pause here. So, again, I'm wondering whose pause this would be, because CLG really need to turn things around in their favor. Dignitas wouldn't be feeling the pressure too much, especially off the back of 3 wins in a row. But it might still be Dignitas realizing that they need to kind of tighten up on that and make sure that they don't slip up here, because this is, again, going to be a very important round. They want to shut down this eco as quickly as possible.
Yeah, this does feel like a really weird time to have that tactical pause. You've lost a bit of momentum for CLG, so maybe it was theirs to try and, you know, steal some of that back, but you're coming into an eco here, and this is going just as you would expect it. The direct hit with the showstopper onto Naomi leaves only 2 standing. Both duelists still alive for CLG. Nita trying to find what she can through the wall onto Thea. Able to pick that one up. Should be able to top herself off with the Devour. Now has that upgraded weapon in the Vandal. Chobo tosses out the boom bot. That one quickly sat down by Sholiana. And they're just taking the fights right to him. I mean, why not, right? This is a round that's kind of expected to go by the wayside. And it does just that. Sholiana with a nice spray down to pick up the last two. A 3K on the round. We are knotted up at 4. And if the tactical pause wasn't for that round, Sam, I'm hoping it had, or it answered all the questions coming into this one for CLG.
That is the hope, but we're not going to know until this round. For them to have won an eco is massive, and it does obviously even out the scores. Oh, sorry, they lost the eco, but they are able to buy up this round, which is the important part. Now, Dignitas have brought it up to an even scoreline, which is good for them because they needed to start getting those points as quickly as possible. But again, this is where we can start to see a momentum shift as well. Dignitas have been looking really good here. They've had some really strong attacks, but sometimes I feel like they're a little bit too hesitant. Oh my goodness. And there's that aggression from CLG, just every round pushing out immediately to try and get early picks. And this is something that Dignitas need to start to counter. They can't allow CLG to keep pushing into them and getting those early frags.
And even if you are wary of the flashes, somebody has to play counter flashes. Okay, Animal gonna play just counter Dignitas. The ult up towards Heaven gets that down almost immediately. The run it back gets sent back. No value gained here, and there it is. That tactical pause doing wonders for this CLG squad as they battle back in their next buy round. 5-4, they reclaim a lead. We're inching closer and closer to the half, and it's just been, you know, back and forth. I would imagine from this point on, Sam, we're starting to see those 1-for-1s going back and forth between attack and defense.
Oh, very likely. It's exactly what we saw earlier on, or maybe not 1-for-1, maybe like 2-for-2, you know, something to that effect, but it will be fairly scrappy and fairly back and forth. And now CLG, they've got Empress online and another showstopper. And like, Chobo showstoppers have generally tended to get quite a lot of value, if not necessarily in terms of kills, but just in like zoning or getting some information, you know, just by seeing where people start running towards. So that can be a very powerful ultimate as well. And then of course we have the From the Shadows, which again is great for information gathering. Now Dignitas don't really have any ultimates to work with here. We've seen that CLG not running straight out this time, not playing that super aggressive style. And I like to see how they are swapping things up, being really flexible and fluid, and not playing the same strategy every time. It kind of keeps Dignitas guessing and keeps them on their toes.
And they've traded, right? They haven't given up a lot of space. They've traded a lot of space. They trade Hookah for long control, and that right there is the result. They push down long, and Chobo picks up 2, making them feel safe, thinking they've got Hookah for free. You know, they can play around this B side a little bit. They tried to rotate out, and they get punished for doing so. So CLG looking to make me eat my words, trying to make sure that this one isn't that back and forth, as we're going to see these Cyphers collide. Shock Dart into the corner, takes down some HP, but not enough to take Animo out of the fight. And she just plays around the cage so perfectly. Fortunately, the team is there. Rise with the last 2 at the end of it all, and that was clinical from CLG.
I love seeing these Omens and these Cyphers show up. It's always so much fun to watch. And, you know, we kind of highlighted Rain at the beginning, and there she is at the top of the leaderboard right next to Emily. It's really showing why she's a boon for her team. And Benita, of course. I mean, we were kind of expecting this to happen. We highlighted her Sova more than anything else, but here she is on that Reyna and doing exactly what she needs to be doing. She's pushing out, she's getting those early frags, and she's giving her team an opportunity that they can leverage into round wins. Again, Dignitas, I want to see more explosion, I guess. Not necessarily from showstoppers. Just kind of push out. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. That's a great first blood. Now, how do you follow up on that?
Blinded.
A good start, but unfortunately traded 1-for-1. Nice paranoia. That's pretty textbook right there between Rain and Emily. But you get an inch, you look to take a mile, and then the inch is taken back from you. It's 2 kills, traded back and forth. Animal's gonna find another. You said the Cyphers, you said the Omens, and they're starting to come online. Now the Neural Theft gets the information of the last 2. They're in the middle of the map, so they could still go either way. And it is more favorable to head towards A, as it's only Chobo holding it down here. I say only Chobo, but that is an understatement for sure.
Oh, the TP bait. That's interesting because the spike is still towards A. But yes, Emilite is going to hoof it towards B site. And Chobo doesn't take the bait. And while I say bait, I mean, this is where they're going. Left. So there's a really good opportunity here to get that spike down. But Benita's got the angle!
And there is the favorable trade. They say, hey, you can have hookah. We're going to keep long control all day. And it worked 2 rounds in a row. It didn't work the exact same way, but it's got the same exact result. CLG seemed to be reading Dignitas just so well. And to not bite on that, to just hold 2 on one site, 1 on the other, you know it's going to be unfavorable somewhere in a 1v2. Had they run right into Chobo, it works. And hey, that's the only result you can really hope for at the end of the day.
Last round in the half here. Dignitas don't want to go into this next half at a 8-4. They'd like to make that a 7-5 if possible. So let's see how they approach this next round. Now, interesting to note that there is a 3 stack towards A this time for the defensive side. So Dignitas going to need to play that a little bit more carefully. Oh, that's a nice one way.
Yeah, good one way, and I mean, careful not in the vocabulary for this round as they look to charge right in. The showstopper gets sat down. Benita still continuing to frag. Milky Way taken off the board, and CLG find themselves a player up. It's another teleport play, but they've got Naomi right here. That guiding light. Cage triggered. Gonna slow things down for now. Chobo since brought up the rear will be playing out towards those B halls. The spike now down on the ground. Somebody has to pick it up. It's all down to Sholiana looking for anything with the Hunter's Fury, choosing to just send it here. I'd imagine the Seekers are soon to follow from Naomi. It's a 1v2. It's a winnable round as the spray comes through the box. It actually tags both of them, so they get the information on where both players are at. Unfortunately, the Seekers find the stun, the Shrouded Step to get out of the corner, and I mean, it's all starting to work against Sholiana here. Another guiding light, gonna find the flash, the dark cover on top of it all, and Sholiana just says, I'm just gonna send it. Full send onto the B site. Not able to find the kill onto either. 8-4 we go at the half.
Jeez, with all of that utility still available for Naomi, like, it was gonna be super hard to push onto that site. And that's exactly what we saw. Committing so much into that, even committing the ultimate just to make sure that nothing could happen there. But again, it was the last round, so it didn't really matter. You could throw absolutely everything in. They wanted to make absolutely certain that they were going to deny another point for Dignitas and get themselves a nice little lead coming into this next half.
And I think the best.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna caveat off yours or kind of just amplify it, right? The best part about all of that utility is the way it was used. It was a flash tossed out, or a guiding light tossed out, then another one, then the Seekers, then it was the guiding light on top of that, then the dark cover just to stunt it for even longer. They were just layering it, and I mean, there's the only person who could eat through that many layers of a sandwich are Shaggy and Scooby, and they're nowhere to be found. Unfortunately, Sholiana couldn't live up to that one there, and you know, you're kind of just on the lower half. As it's not the worst. So 8-4 you can start to claw your way out, especially on defense. But CLG, especially on the defensive side, really seem to have this Dignitas team read.
Well, best of a bad situation. That's how I always like to describe the 8-4 scoreline at the half. We had CLG winning the first 2 pistol rounds, and then the next 2 rounds on top of that. I mean, there was a little bit of a momentum shift for Dignitas as they were able to get the next 4 rounds. But again, the momentum shifted. So let's see who wins out this pistol round. Because if we continue along the same trend, so maybe we get 4 pistol rounds for CLG, and then the game's just about over. But if Dignitas can get 4 rounds, sorry, not 4 pistol, but 4 rounds. If Dignitas can get 4 rounds, then they're really giving themselves a good opportunity to actually take the lead and possibly win out this map.
And it was looking like a nice start. Unfortunately, Benita gonna be the first to a kill. It was a dink onto Chobo from Sholiana. Evan to short. Kick off this take towards A. Spike has since been planted, and Dignitas are cut down 1 member. and low HP on Sholiana. That's Sova still up towards heaven, waiting on that recon bolt to see if she can't get some information for the rest of the squad on this retake. Dignitas lost the last pistol and forced up in the next round, and that unfortunately led to them losing the first 4 of the half as the kills start to flood on through. Sholiana still some way, somehow alive, but on very low HP and not a comfortable spot to be in the 1v4 retake. Finds 1 kill on the way out. CLG will grab themselves another pistol round.
I spoke about CLG's aggression on the defense and how they would keep pushing out and try and find frags kind of on the lurk or try and catch Dignitas off guard. But now that they're on the attack, they just go full. They go hard. They're just pushing straight onto site. They're using Chobo and Bonita to amazing effect there, using that double duelist setup. And I like the way that they are creating space for the rest of the team to come through, get that spike down. Well, I suppose if you just kill everybody, you don't have to get the spike down. And it's a pretty good way to win out a round, I suppose. So we'll see if they actually do get into some spike, some post-plant situations. But for right now, if they keep on with that aggressive tear, Dignitas just don't seem to know how to deal with this aggression. Whether it's on the defense or the offense, they're getting a little bit flustered here and they're starting to flounder.
I love the way on the attacking side that Trailblazer is used. Kind of like how you would trade off of a drone, but unlike the drone, the Trailblazer stuns you. So if you're, stepping into that Tasmanian Tiger's domain, you're going to get stunned and quite possibly killed off the back end as Bonita. Oh my goodness, it's just red across the board. We're expecting it to go this way, and Dignitas are able to grab 1. Maybe another. Nice shots coming down from Emily. Unfortunately, a dink not enough through the full armor of Animal. Bonita to close it out. Who better than the opening kill, the closing kill, and double digits for CLG. Dignitas will buy rifles, but right here, right now, they need to start to mount their defense.
Something somewhat poetic there, It's coming up red. CLG red. It works. They're having an explosive offense here. Now, after winning those 2 pistol rounds, like you said, Dignitas will buy up. They'll get all those rifles on the board, and this is just going to be the bonus round for CLG. Invest a little bit into Chobo, which again makes sense. We do see that quite often where one player will level up whatever gun it is they have, upgrade, so that they can have that little bit extra firepower. And again, if Chobo can get a pick off, then whoever drops the gun, that can be picked up by one of the other players, and then you slowly start to upgrade your weaponry, and then you don't need to buy in the next round. But of course, that's kind of best case scenario. It doesn't always kind of work out that way. Now again, CLG with massive aggression. They've already taken control of the A side. What? B side.
Okay, Sholiana, I was gonna say that recon bolt may be coming a bit too late, but they get the information and 2 kills through the smoke. Chobo tries to push aggressively. It is matched 1 for 1, but still favorable here for Dignitas, so they've got the weapon advantage. Now it was Chobo with the Vandal. Bonita still stuck on the Spectre. The spike yet to be picked up, kind of in a rough spot there with 3 on the site. And I mean, that's the best way to hold it down, right? You don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to put anybody over towards A. Unfortunately, Bonita not having that spike really doesn't help in this situation. And the Vandal that she might want to pick up was on Chobo, who died way over towards elbow. So not a whole lot to work with here. No Lear available. Does have the Devour and Dismiss. 2 charges of that as they hear her drop down. I'm going to go ahead and peek and find the kill. Dignitas, they battle back. Now, backs are not against the wall. This is exactly what we saw in the last series where the Moon Raccoons, they started to fight back and we went 13-11. But you don't have a whole lot you can give up, right? Just those 2 deaths in that round on Sholiana and Emily hurt so much because you're seeing what it does to the economy. Light shields, 200 credits on Thea. A Spectre actually coming out on Emily. So really looking to get in the faces. You have to start winning flawlessly or that economy is going to be booned for sure.
And this was a good round from Dignitas purely because they actually dealt with that aggression. They let CLG just run straight onto point, but they gave themselves some really great positioning, took control of that elbow area. They kind of expected that to happen, so they don't push out unnecessarily, don't get themselves killed before they have a chance to actually mount some kind of a defense. And it works out really well for them. They manage to maintain control of the site.
Wow, and Milky Way just dancing around the aggression from Showers. Finds a kill over towards Short. Shrouded step to get on the site for Rise and is going to get that spike down. Chobo, unfortunately, not going to find too much with that raised ultimate as there's nothing going on. Nobody home in heaven. On the flank goes Emily. She just gets pinned down. A 2v1 inside the showers. Not very favorable. Unfortunately, that raise now taken off the board. CLG up 4 members to 3 on the retake. Althea and Sholiana have crept onto the site. Rain not going to be able to join them. Chobo on the kill on that over towards short. Low HP on a couple members, but you just have to find it. You just have to figure it out. And unfortunately, Dignitas cannot. The Lear goes through Naomi to finish it off. 11 rounds with map point on the horizon for CLG.
CLG seem to look really good towards that A site. When they push in super aggressive there, if they take control of that lamps area, they take early control of the map, then it's really easy for them to just keep that control. The B site, it seems it's easier for Dignitas to defend because they get control of that elbow towards the back of the site there, and once they have control of that, much like with lamps, those are the two kind of pivotal areas for both of those sites, lamps and elbow. When you have control of those two areas, you effectively have control of the site. So it seems like Dignitas are better at controlling elbow, and CLG do really well at getting that really early lamps control, and we're going to see it happen here yet again. They should take early control. Or that.
Emily, though, showstopper of her own, able to get some value, showing to Chobo how to get it done. And the ultimate completely online here for Dignitas. A double kill for Sholiana. Naomi and Chobo, the last one standings with some utility to their name, have to get a whole lot done, and that's a great way to start. Milky Way off the board, but Emily continues pushing forward. It was the showstopper. It was the Spectre. Now this time a blast pack. Try and buy some space, buy some time. 33 HP, and unfortunately for Sky, she can't heal herself with the regrowth. Emily with a nice 3K to battle back here. But now I would say this is where your backs are against the wall. You're down 11. You have 1 round of breathing room, and you have to just keep doing what you're doing. Dignitas, they've got a hole to dig themselves out of.
I mean, everything that I was saying about CLG's attack, it means absolutely nothing when there's a showstopper and a Hunter's Fury, apparently. Really good work there. And the Hunter's Fury helps to clear out that lamps area just in case there's someone there as well. So really good defense there for Dignitas. But of course, they're not going to have those ultimates on every round. In fact, coming into this round, all they have to work with is the run it back. They're reasonably close to the neural theft. But again, not one of those super high impactful, gonna get 2 or 3 kills kind of ultimates. So the run it back is gonna be pivotal here if they want to win out this round, because CLG, once again, going for that A push. That being said, we do have Chobo lurking towards B site for the moment. So we'll see if she can get some value out there, maybe get a pick or two to give CLG some breathing room.
And we're getting an interesting kind of teeter-totter. On defense for CLG, it was towards B. They would give up hookah control, and then they would take long control. This time around, it's give up short and take shower control for Dignitas, and Benita sniffs that flank out, and Sholiana is going to be stuck inside of showers. Benita looking to do some flanking of her own. Thea going to be on top of that spike. Recon Bolt goes out. Paranoia on top of it. Thea just looking to stick it. Pros don't fake. She's got the backup. The rest of the squad behind her. 6 players still alive at the end of that round. Cut down to just 2 as CLG find the kills but lose the round.
That's insane. Like, the sheer amount of utility that was coming out there. Paranoias and flashes and just everything that you can think of. And she just sticks the defuse. She's like, I don't care. You can do whatever the heck you want, because the rest of her team, like you said, there were so many players still alive. The rest of her team are still there backing her up, firing into the ether so that she can safely get that defuse. So another really good round there for Dignitas. Not a clean round by any measure, but it was good enough, and it nets them another point on the board. And of course, every round is super important here, because if they lose a round, if Dignitas loses a round, they're in perpetual match point for CLG. So they want to kind of hold off on that for as long as humanly possible. Now it's going to be looking like a B hit. Kind of mentioned before how that seems to be their weaker attack side. But with such a heavy stack towards the A side, if they show some of that aggression now, they should be able to get onto the sides.
That is just the worst case of tactical shooter timing, and the best case for Benita, showing the tactical shooter skills here, finding 2 kills, popping the Empress, looking for another. The head-to-head we had is right in front of us. Rain and Benita Bonita gonna take her leave, head back to that site, and try and play a tighter angle here. Has that Empress on. Paranoia gonna close it down and still finds the kill on the way out. Liana on the flank, but Chobo is there to answer. And Thea, you gotta do something magnificent. And once more, that's a great way to start. The information comes through, the paint shells to push her back. And now the positions can be scrambled up quite a bit, so that neural theft not really helping in this situation. As the rounds come downrange through the dark cover, they're going to peek right into it. Running out of time, you just have to send it right here. Could be map point, and it is just that for CLG.
I kind of mentioned that this was an important round. Well, every round would be an important round for Dignitas. Now, more so than ever, because we are, of course, on match point. But look at Dignitas' economy. They're not going to be able to full buy properly for this round. It's going to be one of those janky buys as they attempt to get something done with no ultimates online either. The closest ultimates they have are the Showstopper and the From the Shadows, which still need 2 kills / orbs in order to get online, whereas CLG still have the Neural Theft and the From the Shadows, and they're 2 away from a Showstopper. So this is looking like a clean victory for CLG with the anti-eco. That being said, I am never one to count out Dignitas on an eco round because they have done some amazing things in the past. Let's see if they can pull something out here.
That's the first bit of information that economy or that buy is labored for Dignitas. You hear the Guardian shots on the Trailblazer. Still managed to get the stun off. Thea going to be holding it down on site with the Bulldog. Liana and Thea were an incredible dynamic duo. We didn't get to see it on Bind, but we saw it on Ascent. They were holding down that B site perfectly. Obviously, things are a bit different this time around. And that Bulldog doesn't have the shots down range. Bonita opens things up once more. Nice recon pull to get the information, but Liana just swings a bit too wide, and it all starts to come crumbling down on Dignitas' shoulders. In a 3v5, it's a Herculean feat here to get done. Try and keep their game life alive.
Oh, the 5v3, that's always a spicy... Never mind, it's 5v2, and they're not even close to each other. They can't swing on each other, but no one needs to swing when Milk just gets 2 kills off the back of, well, nothing. That's really, really... closed the gap so much, it's down to the 2v1, Tanner.
Wow, make it, yeah, 3 kills hopping in. The Guardian is actually the savior. The spike goes halfway, but who better than Bonita to go Super Saiyan in the last round? 4 kills and the map win.
Oh, that was so close. That was unbelievably close. I thought that she was going to get the stick on the defuse, but Bonita says no. I was right to not count out Dignitas in that last round there, but unfortunately, Milk just could not clutch hard enough. Wow. What a phenomenal map. I mean, again, it's one of those maps similar to what we saw with the Hour game, where, like, the scoreline didn't accurately represent how close each individual round was. And this is a similar thing. Those rounds were very, very close. But at the end of the day, it is going to be CLG taking our first map here.
CLG grabbed the first one in what we're expecting to be a very close series. And it is just that, a best-of-3 series that we have underway. Loser goes home. Winner continues to play Moon Raccoons later this evening. Guys, we are going to hop away for a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to be headed over to Split.